We are back in the book of Proverbs. Just want to make some things, we have mentioned them, would like to mention them again, is that there is no one single proverb that has all the truth about anything, whatever the subject is. It does not carry all the truth. That while a single proverb can stand on its own, it will get help from other proverbs, and of course outside of the book all the way through the Bible. And the fact is that there are certain proverbs that are not guarantees. We spoke about this, I think it was last week, and it though we're not in chapter 22 yet, but chapter 22:6, you have train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old he will not depart from it. That is not a guarantee. There is a principle there, and that depends upon the child. Now, a child must be taught, regardless of what the child does with it later. But this does not mean that the child is now set and the child cannot choose wrong any time in their life. Of course they can. And from places like chapter 19 and verse 27, cease listening to instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. And that is not just limited to a childhood. That goes all the way to their old age. You stop listening and all that teaching it goes away. You stop listening. Well, you don't want it. You don't want it. It is disregarded at that point. And that anyone can decide in their life, regardless of what they have learned, that they're not going to follow it anymore. Train up a child in the way he should go does not mean they have no choice in anything from there on out. That child is still a free moral agent. Have they been taught better? Yes. You teach them, you've done your job. You show them. They have seen the words of God working. They grew up seeing it. They saw it in their home, hopefully. They heard it. They know about it. And I'm saying all this because there are other proverbs, not just 22 and verse 6. There's more than that. There's a statement that is made, but it does not mean that's a guarantee or that no other proverb is to be put with it to regulate or to show that there is more information yet than just found in one proverb. Now, we are in chapter 20 and verse 6. And this goes into things that we've already discussed, but we want to see this, and it is connected to some other things. Verse 6 is connected to verse 9. Most men will proclaim his own goodness, but who can find a faithful man? All right, so most men will proclaim their goodness, but that doesn't mean they're good. Most can do it. Most will do it. Most will refuse to see themselves as, most will not condemn themselves. They're just not going to do it. They'll claim the goodness, but who is actually good? So, Proverbs 26 and 16, the lazy man is wiser in his own eyes. All right, that's a lazy man. There, 30 and verse 12, there's a generation pure in its own eyes. In the book of Judges, we see 17 and 6 and 21 and verse 25, where everyone did what was right in their own eyes. And the book of Judges is written in such a way that you should understand, after having everything prior to the book of Judges, 5 books of Moses with the laws coming down from Sinai, and also with Joshua and the things going on in Joshua, you should realize that when you have everyone doing what is right in their own eyes in the book of Judges, that those things are not right. The book of Judges has assumed your intelligence, has assumed that you can figure this out. That when certain things occur in the book of Judges, that just because it's recorded doesn't mean that it was right. And just because it's recorded without comment doesn't mean that it's right. Because you should be able to already know from Exodus to Deuteronomy that there are certain things that are wrong. And those certain things are being done in the book of Judges. So everyone can proclaim their own goodness. You can have a lazy man can do it. You can have a generation that does it. And then we have places such as 3:7, do not be wise in your own eyes. And we have also a challenge. In Jeremiah 5 and verse 1, if there is anyone who executes judgment, who seeks the truth, if you can find him, I will pardon her. That is Jerusalem. I will pardon Jerusalem. Go find that person, whoever it is, whoever's after the truth, whoever it is that executes judgment, and that would be justice, true judgment, then God, if Jeremiah can find such a person, then he would spare Jerusalem. Of course, God knows there's no one there, and Jeremiah can most certainly understand he can't. He can't find such a person. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes. That's 21 in verse 2. We will get to that in a bit. But let's look at verse 9, because verse 6 and verse 9 are connected by way of the same subject. Who can say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from sin? Who can say that? And that, of course, it's a rhetorical question, because the answer is no one can do that. And someone who can proclaim his own goodness and being clueless that there's really nothing good that this person is doing. He's proclaiming his own goodness, is also someone who is proclaiming that they've done bad things. Sure, they've done bad things in the past, but I have made my heart clean. I am pure from my sin. All right, there is a way of an adulterous. This is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wickedness. All right, so here's proclaiming her own goodness. But Romans 3 and 23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. In John 1:29, behold the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world. That you cannot take sin from yourself. You cannot purify yourself. Only God can do that through Christ. That is the only way. Not even the blood of bulls and goats can do that. It takes the blood of the Son of God. And if we could do it on our own, to where we can make our heart clean and we can purify ourselves from sin, there would be no need for the Christ at all. And that message would have just come right there in Genesis chapter 3 in Eden. And just saying, okay, you've got a problem, this is all you have to do about it. This is all you need to do. But that wasn't the message in Genesis chapter 3. That there would have to be someone in the distant future from Eden, from Genesis 3, that was going to take care of sin and destroy the works of Satan. Now, let's go back to verse 7. Back up a little bit. The righteous man walks in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. Now, this is truly a righteous man, not just someone who says he is. This is a righteous man, not a hypocrite. This is a righteous man, and he speaks and he lives what he speaks, and what he speaks and lives is that of righteousness. All right? Now, his children are blessed after him because this inheritance is great. This inheritance is a very good inheritance. How many millionaires, etc., very, very wealthy people have left their children massive amounts of money, and those children basically were just self-destructive. They were. It took. With some people, you think that somebody has to watch over this person. Somebody has to keep this person from destroying themselves, because that's what they're doing. And it doesn't seem as though anybody is or anybody can, but somebody ought to be. But a man that walks in his integrity, and walks in his integrity, as I said, not a hypocrite, here is his children are blessed after him because they were blessed by having a righteous father. They were blessed by that. Not one that ignored them, not one that didn't love them, but was walking in integrity and showed them integrity. And everyone is blessed by the righteous. And of course, the children of the righteous, exceptionally so. They are blessed by their own parents who are righteous. Now, verse 8. Here we come back to the subject of kings and justice, and we're going to have several things that are going to speak of kings and justice, and we've already looked at some, already come across them. 20 and verse 8, a king who sits on the throne of judgment scatters all evil with his eyes. And this is the fear of justice. The fear of justice. When Satan, the serpent, tells Eve, "You shall not surely die," guess what the response, if you believe that, what does that mean? That means there is no justice. You shall not surely die. There's no punishment. I can do whatever I want. There's no punishment. That's what it comes down to. And that was a lie. Because, you will die, and there's a deeper meaning in that as well. When it came from God, of you shall surely die, He's not talking about just Adam and Eve. He's talking about every child they would ever have going through the centuries. That death will enter the world with sin. Now, we come to our king who sits on a throne. The wickedness falls against justice, and this is precisely what kings are supposed to do. Kings are supposed to give judgment. They are, according to Romans chapter 13, 1 through 7. This is a king's purpose. The king's purpose is to bear the sword, not just to enjoy the luxury and the free time and to just whatever you want today. That's what happens today. That's there's some benefits in that, but there are also some heavy responsibilities. And God is involved, and that's going to come up in a few more verses. Well, 21 and verse 1, God is involved. And I think that the ancients very well knew and feared such things. You have, of course, Nebuchadnezzar, who taught that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. That's Nebuchadnezzar's words. He's writing that. or having it written. All right, and that Nebuchadnezzar was used in justice against Judah. God sent him there. And we'll get more to that when we get to 21:1. But you have a king who sits on the throne of justice, scatters evil with all his eyes, and that takes us back up a few verses where verse 19, or chapter 19, verse 25, strike a scoffer and the simple will become wary. Rebuke one who has understanding and he will discern knowledge. So you strike the scoffer. Others, that is scattering evil with your eyes. If everyone sees there is justice and it's being done swiftly, then evil is scattered. If you have wicked men who see that wickedness is protected, it's just going to get worse. There will be no guardrail. They will do whatever they want to do. And with full immunity, thinking that they have it. But when you have a king on the throne who is interested in justice, well, suddenly there is that guardrail. Suddenly there is now going to be a hesitation. Do we really want to do this? I was watching an interview actually yesterday. It was interview is decades old. Actually, it's about this fella who his robbery was legendary. All right, it's in England. His robbery was legendary, and he couldn't do it alone. He had to have men that he had gathered together in this, and they had planned everything out. And then they are waiting for the opportunity. There was an opportunity, and they've got to wait for the call. And a call came and said, this is delayed 24 hours. Now it's interesting what he said. He said, in that 24 hours, they were like a compacted spring ready to be released. And now they've got to wait. And he said, in that time, there was quiet time. And he said, everyone was beginning to rethink their choices. And beginning to think, is this worth it? What am I about to do? Because at this point, they really haven't committed a crime. Not anything that would land you in prison anyway. But they hadn't committed a crime. But they're about to. And it's been delayed. And he said, in this quiet, they were beginning to think. And he wasn't a good man. He, as their leader, tried to keep the enthusiasm for it going. That we are going to be rich. And he tried to keep that dangling in front of them. And here, with this scatters all evil with his eyes, yeah, you can have a group of men that it's going to take their leader to keep them basically going, to keep them going instead of just abandoning the whole thing, to keep them going. And justice does play an enormous role in a nation and any society. An enormous role. You cannot have groups of people together and there not be some kind of law. It can't be done. There's got to be something that protects everyone. And we will get into a king is supposed to have mercy, supposed to have loving kindness, and he's supposed to have truth. All right, that loving kindness and that mercy is not just offered to the guilty when the king decides to, but the loving kindness and the mercy is offered to the innocent, to thinking of the innocent as well. Now, we have covered verse 9, but we'll read it again. Who can say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from my sin? Once again, we understand the answer to that is no. And at least that should be your answer. No one. No one can actually say that. Now, verse 10, we have this subject of diverse weights and diverse measures. They are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Okay, so what does that mean? Because we're going to see that coming up again. Diverse weights and diverse measures. What is that? That is where you, when you are buying by pound or by yard, you have one standard where you get to buy more with less. And when you're selling, you have another weight and another yard to where you are selling less for more. What is supposed to be a yard is a little less than a yard. And what is supposed to be a pound is actually, you bought a pound of something, whatever it was. You bought a pound, but it's really less than a pound. So you have paid more and have for less is what you've done. And it is dishonest. That if, let's just say, an ounce of gold is worth, and I don't know how much it's worth. I just say $300. I have no idea how much an ounce of gold. I may be way off, but we'll just yeah. We'll just keep it at even 300. All right, and if I am buying from you, that means my weights are going to be lighter. Because I want to buy more. You're going to be selling me more in an ounce and charging me for an ounce. When I sell it, my weights are going to be heavier. So I'm selling less than an ounce for the price of an ounce. That's an abomination. That is dishonest. That, and someone from a school of practicality may have convinced themselves that this is how you run a business. But it's dishonest and it's an abomination. It's abomination to the Lord because it says they are. All right, 11 and verse 1, dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight. Now this is why we have certain standards. There are stored somewhere in the federal government, there is standardized weights and measurements. And in the ancient past, they did that too. I don't know that everybody got the idea that, we have a centralized measurement and this is it. And if you have any question, you come back to this and you can find out how much it is. But we have standardized measurements, and there is no haziness to it. It can be extremely exact, and that's precisely what God wants. That there's not going to be any kind of cheating, any kind of dishonesty that's involved. And Proverbs 16:11, honest weights and scales are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are His work. And He's going to weigh souls too.
Wasn't this taught under the law of Moses?
Yes. Under the law of Moses, that there was to be a specific measuring system. And that you could not tamper with scales in any way. That if someone is buying from you so many pounds of fish or grain or whatever it is, that it must be honest. The scales must be honest, and all measurements are to be honest. And there's no fudging in it. That in an honest society is going to have honesty all the way around. It's got to. And, we can be naive that people wouldn't do that today, but that's kind of being naive. Of course they would. And, like with, there is, all gas pumps are inspected. I don't know how often they're inspected by someone from the state. There's things like that where, but getting back to the law of Moses, yeah, and the law of Moses, that was already set. And now we have these principles put in by way of Proverbs that to cheat people is an abomination to the Lord. That's an abomination. Whether you're cheating it by weights doesn't matter. If you are cheating them in any way, that is going to be an abomination. Now we go to verse 11. Even a child is known by his deeds, whether what he does is pure and right. So all deeds are seen. Everyone has a reputation. And we can call it their track record. We could call it what they have done in their life. And now, granted, you can have folks that they did some rough things in the past, and they have changed. That reputation in the past still lingers over them. It's still there. But given enough time that you can see this person has in fact changed, then that becomes part of their reputation. It's like men who go and teach in prisons. I heard several of them say this, that we don't listen to their words. He's talking about their students, the prisoners. We don't listen to their words. We watch their actions. We watch what they're doing. Have they changed? Because anybody can tell you what they think you want to hear. Anybody can do that. What are they doing? And so even a child is known by his deeds. That you all knew a child in your past, or one you know currently, I don't know, but that a child that's always up to mischief, or always up to something, and well, that child gets a reputation. Or some other child that's maybe basically good and pleasant to be around. That one is known by his or her deeds as well. Whether what he does is pure and right, and you can know. Everybody, even a child, which means it's true for the rest of us, even more so true for the rest of us. Now come to verse 12. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made them both. All right. Now, Psalm 94 in verse 9, he who planted the ear, shall he not hear? He who formed the eye, shall he not see? Concerning his own justice, concerning knowing that what is occurring on the earth and occurring with every single person, and anyone who thinks that the Lord doesn't see, or somehow the Lord is not aware, well, He is. He can see, and He is aware. He is the one that gave us the ears and eyes, and think that somehow He can't hear or He can't see. Well, of course He can. And judgment is there's a record. There's a record for all of us, and it's going to hold everything we did. And of course, sins can be taken away. Sins can be taken off that record. But that's not to say that God never knew about them ever, because He does. But we just will not be charged with them anymore when we are forgiven. Now, verse 13. Do not love sleep, lest you come to poverty. Open your eyes and you will be satisfied with bread. Okay, so 19 and verse 15, laziness casts one into a deep sleep. We talked about that one can just become right comfortable. One can be lulled into this easy sort of life of doing little to nothing. You can be eased into it, and that and not really understand that, or hope that anyway, that nothing bad is going to happen because of it. That everyone, and I do mean everyone, is going to have things they have got to do. You got to, as a matter of living. There are things that you have to do, and you cannot let certain things slide. And so here is this warning that loving sleep, you're going to come to poverty. But here's this becoming aware. Here is this change. Here is this desire to actually work. And we can go to Proverbs 19 and verse 24. A lazy man buries his hand in the bowl and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. And also that of concerning work, that with hunger, one works. with the threat of hunger, one will go to work, and they'll work for the sake of survival, and for the basic survival of their family, hopefully. Verse 14. Here is this thing concerning cheating others and lying. It is good for nothing, cries the buyer. But when he has gone his way, then he boasts. All right, it's good for nothing. I remember a fella, it was years ago when I was a kid. As a side job, he was a farmer. It wasn't his primary job, but as a side job during the summer, he would grow different produce and then take them to a farmer's market. And he said there was a certain man that he went to, that every time he went, this man would be the buyer who's going to buy it and then sell it in the market. It was whatever was brought, he would say, well, this is not what people are buying now, or this is not exactly the best. And he was an adult, obviously, when I was a child, but and he said, like with cucumbers, he said, I'd take him these rather large cucumbers from the garden, and well, that's not what people want. They want small ones. And when he comes next time with small ones, that's not what people want. They want larger ones. And it was always one thing or another. It was trying to bring the price down. I will offer you this, not what you were hoping. Now, it is good for nothing, says the buyer, because he wants the price to drop. That's what he wants. When he has gone his way, he boasts that he got this, which was perfectly fine, for well below market value. He boasts about it. He got it. Yes.
Is this person trying to sell something?
No, he's buying it.
He's buying something.
Yeah.
Saying
It's good for nothing.
what he's buying is not good for everything.
Yeah, because see, he's trying to lower the value. All right, let's say you've got, we'll just talk about gold again. You've got a gold ring, and you want to sell it to me. I'm a jeweler, and I say it's good for nothing. You say, well, I was hoping to get a good price. Well, no, I'm going to give you a much, much lower price because I say it's worth nothing. It's good. I see what it is. It's good. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want to pay market value. I'm not going to do that. So I try to say, no, it's not worth a diamond's, or are lackluster. You have the gold is not so good, and I will give you this. You agree? Okay. Then I turn around and sell everybody. I tell everybody, look what I got for this price. Well, yeah, I can be devious. No, nothing new under the sun. No, and but that's exactly what's being discussed in this, is that it is trying to lying to get the price down instead of paying what is what we call actual market value, trying to get that down because there's something wrong with it. Okay. You think that hasn't happened to you? I can tell you it has. Yeah, it's happened to me. It just does. Okay. And who am I, being like the jeweler or the man at a car dealership, who am I to actually know what the value of this thing is? Who am I? I really don't. Something like jewelry, I haven't the foggiest idea. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. You could tell me it's fake, and I'd have to believe you, or I'd have to go get another opinion as to.
Back up to the beginning. Solomon is telling this to his son.
He's telling it to his son. Yeah.
His son will be a righteous man.
Yes, that's right.
And so, okay, how do we play? Well, Christ is very clear. Do unto others as you would want them to.
Yes.
So I treat you as fairly as I should treat you as fairly and honestly. No deceit as I possibly can.
That's correct. And you can operate a business honestly, and that business runs. There's some who have the thought that we can't run this business honestly and we make a profit. No, you can do anything honestly and make a profit. You could do anything honestly and that there be a benefit from it. But as pointed out with Christ, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do to them. Do you want to be cheated? No, then don't cheat anybody else. Okay, don't. Now, we come to verse 17 because these two are connected. We're skipping a couple. Verse 17, bread gained by deceit is sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel. So here is this bread gained by deceit. You have verse 14, the one who is this deceit in verse 14. Yes, he says it's good for nothing. Whatever it is he's buying, he says it's good for nothing, but it is. It's high value, evidently. There's nothing wrong with it. And so here is this bread gained by deceit, and it is seen as sweet because of my craftiness, because of my cleverness, because of my charm, whatever it is, whatever I want to call it. I am able to really fool people, deceive people, and here have this bread by deceit. And it may seem sweet, but afterwards there's a different opinion to it. Here is this, afterward he boasts, but afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel. And it seems enjoyable because it was easily stolen, easily taken, to have taken it fairly and honestly, it wouldn't be as sweet. But actually the opposite is true. Now, we come to verse 15. Go back up to verse 15. There is gold in a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. There's gold and a multitude of rubies. Now, this isn't trying to tell us how to mine for gold. That if you find rubies, gold is close by. All right, it's not telling us that. And now, if we didn't have the second part of this couplet, one would wonder, well, you'd know that there is some sort of, it's spiritually discerned. You'd know that this is metaphorical. But the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. So there is gold and a multitude of rubies. All right, I'm going to give you my best interpretation of this. My best interpretation. I think it's there. All right. You have words of counsel, words of wisdom, and there is greater wisdom still. That you can. There's nothing wrong with rubies per se. Nothing wrong with that. But there's also gold that can be found here among rubies. But wisdom always gives you something good. You can have a situation where plan A is wise and it's good. Nothing wrong with plan A. And you can think of that as a ruby. But plan B is good and wise and better. That therein is the gold that you can have, such as from 20 and 29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is their gray beard. What is in that? Learned experience, maturity, a greater wisdom that is there. That from experience you can get, or better yet from God, you can get the best wisdom, the best plan. A is good, nothing immoral about it, nothing wrong about it, but plan B is better, is just better all the way around. And yes, there can be degrees in decisions. That something is not intrinsically wrong, but it may not be the best decision. It may not cause any kind of consequence or any kind of no sin involved, but there can be a greater wisdom yet, that there is more benefit out of it. But the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. That is what directs that first line. The broadcast of wisdom, the speaking of wisdom. Gold has a set value. Rubies do not. You can have lesser rubies and better rubies. It's like with any precious stone. Every diamond doesn't have the same value, but actually gold does. Refined gold does have a set value, and you cannot purify rubies. Rubies are what they are. Gold, however, being an element, it can be purified and it can be made even more valuable. All right, we're going to need to stop there for this morning. We have come to the end of our class. I appreciate everybody being with us. Hope to see you next week. Thank you.